Thank you very much for staying with us. The people of Orobiri community in Bayelsa State are appealing to the federal government and international oil companies to save them from the ocean surge, which is gradually displacing them from their ancestral homes. The residents who are requesting assistance to be relocated to the hinterland say no fewer than 200 homes have been lost to the ravaging waters. Our rights correspondent Theophilus Agbedi reports.
Orobiri community lies on the fringes of the Atlantic Ocean in the Ecological local government area of Bayelsa State. Residents of the mostly fishing community are presently worried about the intensifying ocean surge, which has, among other problems, destroyed homes and shortened the distance between them and the sea.
The sea has taken over the community. It has destroyed a lot of properties. All the houses, as you can see, has been destroyed by the sea. The farms have been destroyed by the water. Right now, we don't have any drinkable water now because the salty water has entered the land. The well water has been polluted by the salt water. So the community don't have any drinkable water for now. So we also appeal to the government that they should come and give us a better water that our children can be able to drink. The government should come and clear the forest for us, but if it is possible that they can make a shoreline protection, that will be better.
It has eaten deep into the community to the level that the sea has claimed so much of the land and affected even the structures on ground.
There was a community hall in where we are standing right now. It's nowhere to be found. About 200 meters of the community have been washed off. Like almost half of the community has been washed off by the ocean surge.
At an overcrowded shelter in the village for displaced women and children, there are lamentations over lack of basic items including food and medicine.
This rainy season, now the water the heavy pass. Now we rain safe never fall away, they destroy like this, so we never even know. These people will remain now. We'll never even know say whether they will still remain here. Some people don't know where to sleep. Everybody just be like now road, everybody day. And mosquito now, they easy. The children, malaria because of mosquito, treatments every day and night when they run, they go health center.
We don't have anywhere to even eat. Even our firewood has been taken away by the water. Even our phones have wet. We don't have anywhere to cook, to shop.
The community members want the federal government and international oil companies operating in the area to come to their aid.
Orobiri community is the traditional headquarters of Ecological. It's an oil producing community. It's a co-host to the EA field, operated by SPDC and our joint ventures. So the community contributed greatly to the economy of Nigeria, and it will be unfair to humanity for this community to go into extinction.
We are making this appeal through Honorable Fredrick Agbedi, the member representing Ecological Sagbama Federal Constituency, to please prevail on the state government and the federal government to come to the aid of Orobiri people. We are suffering.
Orobiri, like many other coastal communities, is challenged by global warming and climate change. Environmental experts say proactive actions are needed to ensure people here are not displaced from their ancestral lands.
For many people living in these ocean-threatened communities, they are having so many nostalgic moments and memories associated with their homeland. And for the children, there is the possibility that they may grow into adulthood not having any home to call their own unless urgent action is taken by the government and other relevant authorities in the days ahead. Theophilus Agbedi, Arise News.
Well, let's discuss this matter further. We're now being joined in the studio by Honorable Fredrick Agbedi, who represents Sagbama Ecological Federal Constituency in the Ninth Assembly. And of course, he's returning to the 10th Assembly. Honorable Fredrick, thank you so much for being here.
Welcome to News Night.
Well, let's start by painting us a picture how dire the situation in your constituency is with regards to this flood waters, which already has consumed about 200 homes.
Is terribly, terribly, terribly bad. And we're talking about the Ramos River, and most of these communities are the shoreline at the Ramos River of Bayelsa State, ranging from Agbedi to what we're talking about right now, or robbery, to even Azamabri. Azamabri is almost completely, washed off. All school buildings, health centers, people's individual homes. This is an encroachment of the ocean on the land, and this is something that needs government attention. Government at the state level will not be able to deal with this situation. You can imagine that the waves will approach the community, overflow the community, and then move both buildings, properties, and all that into the ocean. And so you see the people scampering into the forest, And of course, once the community, the houses are being washed off, where will you live? So you see people moving to other communities to stay. But all the communities in that shoreline, ranging from Agbedi to Palmbush, to Ogbentu, to Orobri we're talking about, to Azamabri, are all affected by the same situation. And this is not the first time that the people have cried out. Severally. I have also brought a number of motions, in the floor of the previous assembly and the 9th assembly. And we've not been able to get any succor. Of course, the federal government, through the Ecological Fund, need to deal with this situation. And like I speak here, this is not peculiar to just my federal constituency. It is happening in almost all the coastal community settlements across the shorelines, from Ramos River to Dodo River to Pennington River, across the line. If you come back to Delta, that same experience happens in so many communities, even around Ogola there, where you have our loading, crude oil loading facility and all that. So it's a major, you get to Brass, it's the same problem. And the federal government has not paid attention to any of these issues that affect these communities. Again, these communities are oil-producing communities. These communities are predominantly fishing communities. And we're talking about the resources that you can make from fisheries. But these people are abandoned. These are tourist locations, yet they are not tapped. And then these challenges that government is supposed to care for, particularly federal government, using either ecological fund or other, budgetary provisions to deal with this situation, are completely abandoned. And so, of course, we will continue to call, like the people have called on the federal government and other well-meaning organizations, international organizations, the oil companies, to come and intervene. I will also, on behalf of the people, as a member representing them, call on the federal government to make sure that the ecological funds are expended on these very immediate, situations that the people are passing through.
Okay, since 1981 that the Ecology Fund was started, would you say that it's one thing is for it to be spent judiciously?
Yeah.
Another thing is it enough? So what percentage would you ask for from the derivation fund?
Well, of course, we have always said, from those of us from the Niger Delta, we have always said that we should go back to resource control. Not issue of 50% or 100% or whatever. We should contribute to the federal government. We should pay royalties to the federal government so that you manage your issues with what you are able to produce from your environment. That's the only way we can deal with a number of these situations. Otherwise, when you say 50%, you're not talking about how much that comes out of the 50%. And 50% is based on what calculation the federal government is giving to you. It's never a realistic calculation. Whatever that is being declared and say is the 50% is what you take home. And out of that, is it really even what that you are taking home that will represent the 50%? No. So for us, let there be devolution of power, let there be true federalism, let there be resource control, so that we deal with the issues that concerns us. Today we are abandoned. Look at how communities are washed off. Look at how properties are washed off. Look at how lives of people are endangered. Yet, who is speaking to us?
Right. Okay, so while we wait for that devolution of powers that you talk about in terms of ensuring that people are represented closer home, that's for much later. You are in the National Assembly. Maybe you should look in that direction. But let's talk about the realities before us right now. Last year, over 600 lives were lost in Nigeria due to flooding. And of course, NIMET has predicted this year again it will be worse. And the fact that Bayelsa, which you actually hail from, is one of the hot spots. So what are the experts suggesting that we should be doing right now, beyond the federal government or state government, but just generally to ensure that we do not see the loss of lives like we saw last year and years before it? Prevention, not
prevention, quite all right. I can tell you that from the point of Bayelsa state government, there were certain remedies that were put in place before the last flood, which saved certain situations, you know, and the overwhelming situation of the last flood has made the Bayelsa government to take certain steps further to ensure that, you know, they deal with the situation to the best of the capacity of the resources of the state government. I can also tell you that the Bayelsa Elders Council set up a committee, an engineering committee, to study a remedy, profile remedy, and they gave a copy of their report to the federal government as a way of helping to deal with this issue of flooding that is impending, you know, this year. Again, what has the federal government used that document, that report to do? What is the contribution of the federal government in this regard? Even when you talk about moving the people from one point to another in terms of providing safety nets for the people, there are no sites provided. There are no buildings provided. There are no camps provided. And so if flood comes now, other than what the state government can do, there's nothing that you are going to get. It is when it is happening that federal government will be running around. And the last time you saw that a number of their food items and all that they trucked to these states could not pass through the east-west road to access those communities, those states. That is a similar situation we're expecting because nothing is coming from the federal government. And that is why when you see the people from Niger Delta agitate, they are agitating because there's high level of abandonment. You know, and we come from a coastal region. That's why you have the crude oil being explored from our environment. And then we have challenges like this, and nobody's attending to us from the federal government of the country. Take, for example, the Ecological Fund has a lot of money. Most of the times when National Assembly desires to probe it, you see that they start blocking a lot of information, and we don't get to the details. There is so much money there that can deal with some of this situation. But how is it managed? We are in a country where if you have access to the till, you manage it for your people, you know, and that is what we have been suffering. So our appeal is, first, the National Emergency Agency should, as a matter of urgency, take relief materials to these communities. If communities in that flat, today we are talking about a robbery community. There is also a Zamabri community that for the past 2 years, all the school buildings, health centers, everything have been washed away. The same thing in a gay community. If you go, every day is chopped off on daily basis. You know, I'm constructing an earth road from Agea to Amatu. So between what robbery we are talking, the point we are Ogbentu as at the last construction, we are now going to take in this budget from Ogbentu to this community that is being washed up, which is another 6 kilometers.
A whole lot of work needs to be done, really. And we need to be a bit more proactive and not wait until it gets really worse.
But our cries being heard by federal government.
They sure will hear.
I agree that the moment we come back to National Assembly, the Assembly resumes, I'm going to go with a motion.
Right.
Calling on the same federal government and the agencies.
Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of time. We have to say thank you so much to you, Honorable Fredrick Agbedi, for joining us. Of course, I wish we had more time to even talk about the forthcoming 10th Assembly, because you're ranking.
Thank you very much. But use your medium to appeal to federal government to attend to.
That's why you're here. You've done that already.
I agree, but I'm further urging you, you know, because you have a strong voice.
They've heard from the horse's mouth.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Honorable Fredrick Agbedi, of course, representing the good people of Sagbama. Thank you for joining us tonight on the program.